Welcome to another marvelous episode of Overreaction all season, and things look a little bit different today. I got Nino taking some much needed time off because the guy don't sleep. He don't take any days off, and even while he's supposed to have a day off, he's in here working the production room. We got my guy D now, who's been having the spiciest takes in the game. Overreaction all season. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Today I am the governor of college football. Yes, sir. The mayor of college football, aka Downtown Nino Brown. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You already know what time it is, man. We got my boy D now in the building. D now, we just officially wrapped up the spring season, and we're just about 90 days out from fall camp. So let's get into some rapid fire one-liners. This is a Nino special. He kills this segment. I can't wait to see your spicy takes on this segment. But we're going to do fall camp edition. What late window transfer will see immediate success in fall camp?
So I got three. I hope you don't mind.
No, I don't mind at all.
My first one is D'Angelo Ponds from James Madison to Indiana. Freshman All-American for, I believe the Sun Belt is what James Madison's in. Follows his coach, bigger conference, better athletes. The coach is going to lean on him to be his stud on defense. The second one is Javon Cole going from San Jose State to Texas. Texas's secondary is really bare, so I think he steps in right away. His 2 years at San Jose, he had 7 interceptions, 14 pass breakups, so I think he slides either boundary or at worst nickel. And the third one is the big name. It's Damian Martinez going to Miami. With the injuries and the departures at the running back position, he slides in there. He's the alpha that they've needed for a couple of years. Up in Corvallis, he had 1,500 yards, 9 touchdowns the last couple of seasons. So, like I said, the alpha that the U finally has, I think he'll be a star there.
Oh, I love those picks. I think the excuses are running out in Coral Gables. Mario Cristobal has done a fantastic job at recruiting, but not only utilizing the recruiting, he's also done a fantastic job of utilizing the transfer portal. Boomer, are we good now?
I think we're good.
You think we're good? Okay.
Yeah.
So, welcome to another marvelous episode of Overreaction off season. If you didn't hear the intro or the opening, my guy D now is on tonight's episode. Nino's taking a day off, but he don't really take the day off. He's in the daggone production room doing all the production work right now. So, what late window transfer do you think we'll see immediate success from in fall camp?
So, yeah, first one, D'Angelo Ponds going from James Madison to Indiana, moving to the Big Time Conference against big athletes like in the Big Ten, like Ohio State wide receivers. He was a freshman All-American, so I think he solidifies himself as one of the top upcoming cornerbacks in the future draft classes. Second one, Javon Cole going from San Jose State to Texas. At San Jose State, he had 7 interceptions, 14 pass breakups. And with Texas being really bare at the corner position, I think he slides in there as a day one starter. And the third one is the big name, Damian Martinez, going to the U. It gives Miami that number 1 running back that they've needed for so long. At Oregon State, he had 1,500 yards, 9 touchdowns. And with, like you were saying in the green room, Cristobal finally taking advantage of recruiting and portal. I think he is that stepping stone to bring the U back up to somewhat being relevant again.
Killing the ticker. It is amazing. Like you said, excuses are kind of running out. I'm expecting winning in ACC, and I think the ACC is kind of for the taking. Speaking of which, we want to foreshadow a little bit. Later on, we're going to get into some over-unders as far as win totals in the ACC, so make sure you all stay tuned for that.
Well, my hot take, too, was that Miami wins the ACC. So.
Wow. Hey, you've been killing these spicy takes lately. So what positional battle will you pay most attention to during fall camp?
So again, I have multiple. It's going to be a theme for all these. My first one is the Duke QB battle. You
Mm.
got Malik Murphy coming in from Texas, obviously the big name of the two. He has high IQ. And then the second one is the kid who helped limp them to the finish line last season when Riley Leonard got hurt, and that being Grayson Loftus. Um, in the end, I think Murphy wins. He's got the better arm. I think he's a better athlete. Um, and that's kind of what Manny Diaz is kind of writing in the tea leaves if you can look deep enough that it's Murphy's job. The second one is Baylor between Sawyer Robertson and DeQuan Finn. Being a Toledo guy, I love DeQuan Finn. Was sad that he left. And again, I think DeQuan Finn ends up winning this just due to the run game wrinkle he can bring. I think he's a better runner than Sawyer Robertson, so I think that gives him the edge. Third, I'm going out to Cali for USC's QB battle. This is probably the one that I'm most interested in, with that being Miller Moss or Jaden Maya. I'm going to butcher that, so I ain't even going to try to say it. With Miller Moss coming off that amazing bowl game that everyone was talking about, and then Jaden having that historic season at UNLV, it kind of is setting up for all the lights to be on that. Plus them entering the new conference, it just adds to it even more. In the end, I think Miller Moss he's got his time in that offense. And he showed what he could do with that offense at the bowl game last year. So I think he ends up winning that one. And then the last one, we're going up to Ann Arbor for who's going to be the quarterback for the reigning champs. I've seen 5-6 names thrown around. You got Jack Tuttle, who was just granted his 7th year, I believe, of eligibility. You got Jaden Denegal, who is a 6'4 pro-style QB. You got Alex Orji, who was their Wildcat QB run quarterback last year. And then you got the highly touted recruit Jaden Davis coming in that everyone wants to start right away. I think in the end, Jaden Denegal wins just because he fits more of the J.J. McCarthy mold. I'm not saying he's going to be J.J. McCarthy, but with more running the show now, I think that's kind of the quarterback he's going to look for. And then they're going to use Orji again in certain packages. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if by the end of the season, if they aren't getting the results that they want or if games are really close, if Davis ends up starting.
I like that. Those are some really, really spicy takes right there. Name a team that had a great spring season and will continue to have a great fall camp.
So this one, it was difficult, and it's going to hurt me as a Big Ten West fan to say this, but I'm going to go with Nebraska.
That's a great take.
I'm not surprised, though, because Matt Rule is their head coach. He is known as the program builder. This is year 2. He's finally starting to get some of his guys in. But watching the spring game and you see Raiola hitting Bonner for that touchdown, I believe it was 30-yard pass. Raiola went 4 for 4 on the opening drive. It just kind of shows you glimpses of what Nebraska could be this season or even next season. And with Nebraska kind of on the rise, it's not only good for the Big Ten. I believe it's good for college football as a whole to see one of those traditional blue bloods finally making its way back up. So, yeah, like I said, it hurts, but Nebraska.
Name one thing you want to see from the Iowa Hawkeyes during fall camp.
So this one was actually hard to narrow it down to only one thing because as an Iowa fan, there was so much wrong with them last season. But the one thing I want to see is who steps up to be wide receiver number 2. Reading all the notes, Coach Lester, the new OC, runs a very wide receiver friendly offense. And with Caleb Brown obviously solidifying himself as number 1 last year, I'm looking to see who's number 2. It's between 2 people. You got Seth Anderson, who came in from Charleston last season, super speedy guy. And then just didn't show up the flashes as much as people wanted. Again, the offense really struggled, so he wasn't given that much opportunity. But then you have Caden Wetchen, who was mostly a special teams person last year. So it's between those for wide receiver number 2. If it was me, I would put Wetchin on the outside, and I would use Anderson Speed more slot, just because I think that would be a mismatch. But again, if I had to find pick of what I would want them to fix, it would be that.
Hey, I love it. One of the most popular shows on our platform last year was the Hawk Nest, which is hosted by the one and only my guy D. Now, I can't wait for the season 2 kickoff of that show. It will be spectacular. Name a team that didn't have the best spring season but needs to have an amazing fall camp.
So again, another surprising take. I'm going to go with Clemson. They have a 3-man position battle at center, which I think is really starting to stall their offense. Their offensive line can't gel just because they don't know who's going to be running the show up front. And then Cade, he had a pedestrian spring. I mean, if you watch the spring game, he didn't take the leap that a lot of people thought he was going to take from year 1 to year 2. And he hasn't lived up to the hype as of late. And he's going to need a good fall camp, or it's going to be year 4, which is shocking to say, of Clemson not making the playoffs, and which could therefore end up with Dabo's job being on the line.
That is dicey. I mean, we know that Dabo Swinney, he still doesn't really get active in the transfer portal. I think in order to win in today's game, you need solid recruiting classes, and you need to build upon those recruiting classes, but you need to pluck a piece here and there, just to fill specific needs from the transfer portal. So you need a little bit of both. Let's get into an amazing piece that I seen from Ross Dellinger on Yahoo Sports. We talked a little bit about this on College Football Showdown. Make sure you guys check that out on any streaming service available near you. So Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports did a great piece on possible issues with the 12-team playoff, and he kind of used the finish from the 2022 regular season. The biggest issues in this article that he brought up are the first round rematches. Some people don't have a problem with those, but I can see those being problematic. The automatic bid from a Power 4 conference received the first round bye, and the Pitt Panthers would have actually received the first round bye in 2022. Is that really fair? We really got to look at this. The automatic highest ranked G5 team knocking out a really good power conference team like Washington Huskies of 2022 would have missed this 12-team playoff. Now, I think Ross bring up some phenomenal points and things people aren't looking at now, but 8 months from now, a lot of people will be complaining about. How do you feel about this?
It's kind of mixed for me because, I mean, you also have like Tulane would have been in 2022, which they showed they could play that year, taking USC all the way down to the wire. So, I mean, I wouldn't have had a problem with had they made it. But then again, like first round rematches, what if a first round rematch is Ohio State, Michigan again, though? You know, like at the end of the day, everyone's always going to find something to complain about if their team doesn't get in or whatever the case may be. I just want good football. And if it means more teams get in, it is what it is. It's more football for us.
So I guess the first round rematches aren't necessarily a bad thing until we end up seeing a rematch, like a really lopsided rematch in a playoff. And the last thing you want, and these are on campus games, so imagine playoff college football that are on campus. That's going to be phenomenal. So we don't want a lopsided rematches in the first round. I think there's a way around that if they just put it in the policy. The problem is there is no policy that addresses that right now. Additionally, Pitt Panthers being getting an automatic bye in 2022. How is that right? That wouldn't have been right at all. You could say, well, hey, they earned it, they won it, but there are more deserving teams, and I have to put more deserving in quotation marks, of course. So, do you think that's fair, or you just like cool? Whatever the top 12 teams are, that's who you want in the playoff. How do you view it?
I mean, yeah, you could say Pitt getting the bye would have stirred the pot. I'll put it lightly like that. But yeah, like you said, with no policy being put in, there's always going to be people upset. Honestly, me, how do I put this lightly?
Hey, you're the king of the spicy takes. I don't think it should be lightly.
All right. So for Pitt, I'll use Pitt. Had they gotten a first round bye, who would you have replaced them with? Or who should have got the first round bye then?
In 2022, I see what you're saying. They didn't get the first one. Probably the loser of the SEC championship will probably be more deserving of a first round bye.
Valid.
In that year.
But I guess this is kind of like it's hard to give a definitive answer that would make everyone happy.
Yeah, you can't make everyone happy. That's the
So like I said, everyone's gonna bitch and moan. Pardon my French.
No, you're good. We do that on this show
about it. So at this point, just win the games, and you don't have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
It would just be the nicest way to put it. Just win the games.
Hey, that's a fair point. Let's move on. Jesse Simonton of On3 recently did an article on the top 25 coaches in college football, but I want to narrow this down a little bit. We're going to look at the top 12 coaches and really go over this with a fine-tooth comb. At 1, he got Kirby Smart from Georgia. At 2, he got Brian Kelly, LSU. At 3, got Kalen DeBoer, Alabama. At 4, Ryan Day, Ohio State. At 5, Steve Sarkisian, Texas. At 6, Dabo Swinney, Clemson. At 7, Mike Norvell, Florida State. At 8, a guy that I like a lot, Kyle Winningham, Utah. At 9, Lincoln Riley, USC. At 10, Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss. At 11, Dan Lanning, Oregon. And at 12, Lance Leopold from Kansas. Dina, I think there are some solid picks here, but I also think there's something that's very interesting. First, tell me the ones that you like and dislike about these rankings, and how would you reorder them, and who isn't in the top 12? Who isn't in the top 12 that should be in the top 12?
Again, so like we were talking in the green room, my first question is this based off last season overall? Because that changes a lot.
It does. I wish we had more of an idea about the metric. What is the criteria? Because criteria matters. Like, you look at this Kendrick and Drake thing with, that your criteria will be different from somebody else's criteria. But what is the criteria now? Jesse Simonton didn't say in this article, but I will imagine this is being where we stand at now. And I think it's overall body of work. That's what we would go off of.
So that's what I went off of as well, assuming it would be. And my first thing, automatically, Brian Kelly, way too high. Way too high.
Get him.
With my wife being a Notre Dame fan, I know all about Brian Kelly. And he's one of those coaches, much like Kirk Ferentz, who will have one season where he's red hot, 10-2, 11-1, and then the rest, it's mediocre Mike, 8-4, 7-5. And this year was one of those years. I mean, yes, he had the Heisman winner, but what was the record? 8-4? Something like that? 9-3? Second, Kalen DeBoer, way too high. I understand Washington had a great year, and yes, he wins everywhere he goes. I think it's way too soon to put him up in the top 3 right now. I'd like to see what he does with guys he can bring into an SEC school instead of this year. All his success is going to have that asterisk with Nick Saban's recruits next to it. So if I had to go my top 10 right now off of just this 12 right here, Kirby is still number 1 to me. I have to put Sweeney as number 2, and 1 and 2 is solely based off of only ones on here that have won a national championship. My number 3, I'm with you, Kyle Whittingham. I don't think he gets the respect he deserves.
He doesn't.
Number 4, Lincoln Riley, just because he's produces Heisman quarterbacks. Then I got Dan Lanning, and he's going to be the one that I think makes the biggest move into top 1, 2, 3. I wouldn't be surprised if end of the day he's number 2, because I think Kirby's going to have maybe 5 more years where he's always in the national championship. Then I got Lane Kiffin. That's just personal preference. I love his offense. Then I got Ryan Day. I'm not sold on Ryan Day. His success early on was because of Urban's recruits. Hasn't really done much since. Then I got Lance Leopold. I love Lance, what he's building in Kansas. I don't think he gets enough respect there, especially because it's Kansas. Then I got Sarkisian. He's kind of a middle of the road quarterback or coach for me. He was meh at Washington. Then he had his troubles at USC. If he can continue to build off what he did this year with Texas, then he could rise. And then I got DeBoer. And again, it's early, so I didn't want to put him too high. But if he can win with his own recruits in the SEC, then sure, he can rise. Again, I got to go as a homer. Kirk Ferentz, I believe, is a top 15, maybe top 12 coach all time. Gundy at Oklahoma State, just longevity at these schools. I think he's the top coach. But my one guy who's right on the outside, who I think if things start clicking for him, which I think they will, is Brett Bielema. He's had success at Wisconsin. He's had success at Arkansas. And I think he's waking up a sleeping giant at Illinois. So those would be my guys.
I think you had a lot of great pieces there. Dan Lanning, I spoke about Oregon earlier. I don't think it's far-fetched if we look, let's say 3 to 5 years in the future and say that the Oregon Ducks may be big bruh in the Big Ten. As crazy as that sound, you think about the resources that they have. I think Dan Lanning is just one of those it guys when we're talking about head coaches, a guy that I would love to play for. You think about the bit that he said against Colorado, and I was angry at the time, of course. I'm going for Colorado. I'm going with Prab. But, hey, he got his team ready and motivated for that game. I want to go play with Oregon because of the resources. I want to go play with Oregon because of the uniforms. I want to go play for Oregon because we're on national TV. Now, you take that Pac-12 Oregon team and you put them in one of the heart and soul conferences in the Big Ten Conference. I think 3 to 5 years from now, let's say that Ryan Day isn't who we thought he is, or maybe he is who we thought he is, and he can't get over this hump with Michigan. I think Ohio State may make a mistake and get rid of him too soon. So you're looking at Sherrone Moore. He has to go through his growing pains. Nobody just takes over and there aren't growing pains. He's going to go through growing pains. There will be lessons learned year in and year out. We can look at this team, and if Tosh Lapointe can get this thing right defensively for Oregon, they can be big bruh in the Big Ten for you to the next 3 to 5 years. And I think some people may hear this and think that is a shocker. It is not a shocker. I believe in Oregon. I believe more importantly in Dan Lanning.
If they can figure out the defense, Oregon will win 1 to 2 championships over the next 5 years easily.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I think that is a
and if he does that, then I will put Dan Lanning in second.
Yeah. I would agree with it. I mean, I love what Oregon's doing. Like that one. Yeah, he would like that one for sure. A team to watch this year. I've been saying it. Watch Ole Miss. Watch Lane Kiffin. Let's get into some over-unders. I'm excited about this. All of this is from FanDuel. That's the site that we use. Let's look at some college football win total over-unders. And we're going to keep this going as a weekly series. This week is the ACC. So as we go through our team, Dina, you can either say over, under, push, or you're not touching with a 10-foot pole. Oregon ain't doing nothing. Wow.
Strongly disagree.
Wow, that's a take. Shout out. I think that was Jason Wayne. I think that was the first time I seen you comment on the show. Thank you. Welcome to CFB Nation, one of the fastest growing platforms there is. This is Overreaction Monday. We do this each and every Monday. There is no off season with the CFB Nation. Also check us out on the CFBNation.com. And shout out to, bro, I feel like I'm in like an ESPN production right now. Nino is getting busy in the production room, bro. All right, let's start off with Boston College, man. Hopefully, Nino don't hit the end button after what you say about this. Boston College over under 4.5 wins.
I'm going to take the over.
I'm comfortable with the over.
I love that quarterback. I think 6 is a safe bet.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with the over as well. Cal, I thought these should have been inverted. I thought Boston College should have been 6.5, and Cal should have been 4.5. Cal, over under 6.5 wins.
Way under. I think they win 3 games.
Yeah, I'm comfortable betting that. I'm real comfortable betting the under on that as well. So we agree here. Clemson, 9.5 wins.
I'm going to say under. I think they only win 8 this year.
I'm not touching that one. That's just one I wouldn't touch. Duke 6.5 wins.
Oh, see, this is a tough one.
Yeah, it is a tough one.
I'm gonna go under just 6, so just barely under.
Okay, I think barely under would be fair as well. Florida State 9.5 wins.
I'm gonna say under. I think they 8 or 9 for them as well.
All righty, 8.5 for them under. Florida State, yeah, I'm taking the under as well. Oh, that's tough.
It is.
That's tough.
It is.
That's tough. I think I'm gonna go with the over and say they won 10 games. Georgia Tech 5.5 wins.
Over. I'm gonna go 7.
Yeah, huge fan of Brent Key. Louisville 8.5 wins.
Under.
I'm taking the under. 7. I'm taking the under. I think there'll be a sophomore slump for
their wide receiver room. I don't trust. So
yeah, I will have to agree with you there. Miami 9.5 wins.
Over. I think this is the year Mario gets 10 wins, maybe 11, and they're a playoff team.
Somewhere Jalen is watching this show and losing his daggone mind right now. I'm gonna go with under for Miami. NC State 8.5 wins.
I'm gonna go over. I think they win 9.
I'm gonna go over with NC State too. I think this can be one of those years that they've been like a tier 2 ACC team for years. I think they can make that next jump up. North Carolina 7.5 wins.
Oh, this one's tough.
That's tough. Yeah, that's tough.
I'm gonna say over, but one of those barely over. I think they win 8.
They win 8. Okay. Pat Narduzzi should take offense to this. Pitt 5.5 wins.
I'm gonna say over. I think they win 7.
You think they win 7? I'm taking over too. SMU, a newcomer. We talked about another newcomer earlier. 7.5 wins. What you taking?
Oh man, I love SMU. I love that offense they run. I'm gonna go over. I think they win 8 to 9.
8 to 9 wins. I'll say over as well. Stanford 3.5 wins. This one is difficult.
I'm gonna go under.
You go under?
Yeah, I think they're one of the worst teams in the country.
Yeah. I'll take the under as well. Syracuse 7.5 wins.
I'm gonna take under, but 7.
Under but 7. I'm gonna take the over. Everybody know I got it. My chips are on the table with Syracuse this year, so I'm gonna definitely take the over with Syracuse. Wake Forest. This is a team that Nino's been talking about. Nino had a couple of predictions that were spot on a couple of weeks ago, right before we did the spring game previews for that week. Wake Forest 4.5 wins. What you taking?
I'm gonna take the under 4.
That's a push for me. I'm not touching that one. I'm not because I feel like whenever we think Coach Clausen is out of it, he figures it out.
He does.
So it's a really difficult one. D now. I truly appreciate you got something else you want to say?
I was gonna say, who do you think wins the conference?
Outright in the regular season, or who wins the conference championship?
Both.
Give me Florida State.
Ooh, okay.
Who you got?
I got the U.
You got the U?
Yeah.
Winning both?
No, I think the U wins the championship game.
Uh-huh.
I'm riding that NC State bandwagon this year. I like what the ppieces they've added. Grayson McCall. I think that's where Miami slips up.
You look so good
NC
during
State
the spring game too.
Wins the regular season.
You look so good during the spring game. D now, I truly appreciate you coming in. You did your thing, man. That's a tough seat to sit in.
It is. I felt the pressure.
Busy, so that's a tough seat to sit in. And you
had me like a town council member now. Since I can't be the mayor or the governor.
Hey man, whatever role you want, you got, man. Fantastic show. Shout out to Nino doing production on his day off. I guess you don't want to get fired on his day off. He's doing his thing. Shout out to everybody that's watching this. The viewers been going up. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, subscribe, and check out the website, man. As I always like to say, there are no more victories in a sport that survive in advance. That's why college football has the greatest regular season. And until next time, y'all already know what it is. What's up? Yes, sir. Today I am the governor of college football. Yes, sir.